Did rewatching the game reinforce your post-game thoughts, or did anything else pop up about what didn't work?
Yeah, no, I think more than anything, look, they came out with an urgency and a desperation, and we've had that in games. Certainly didn't the other night, and they had a sound plan and they stuck to it for 40 minutes, and they played well. So I think in this league. You'd love to play your best every single night, and you'd love to win every single night, but you also know that the other teams are really good, and they're going to be prepared. And I think that the team we saw the other night was, the best version of that Kansas team, and they're really good when they do that. So, look, there's things that we need to do better, certainly. I mean, like early in the game, they're getting the ball in the paint. We need to be more intentional and keep it out of the paint. Early in the game, we had a lot of careless turnovers, took some shots that we'd love to have back, and we just kind of got caught up in the environment, in the atmosphere. And, there was, many plays, especially early, where it's an offensive rebounding opportunity, a 50-50 ball, an energy play that we could make that maybe can help shift the momentum a little bit, but we weren't able to make those. And so as a result, when you're playing behind in that building and the crowd's into the game the whole time, that provides a more challenging environment. We've been able to, stay the course there. You've got to play out in front, and you've got to neutralize the crowd. You've got to keep them out of the paint and those energy plays, and we just didn't do a good job of that.
Talked after the game about the ball movement, specifically in the first half, not being very good. Was that Kansas baiting guys into playing one-on-one, or was it bad reads, bad choices, or what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I think for everybody, for us to be the best team we can be offensively, 5 guys have to be involved. And that means everybody's touching the ball, guys are on the move, screening, cutting, ball reversals, things along those lines. What happens is we got stagnant, we were very stationary, and then as a result, guys like Taman and Jay Jeff put responsibility on their shoulders to say, I have to go make a play. And then the challenge becomes is the defense sees that as well. And so they gap guys, they commit to guys, they bring help at the rim, and it's not a one-on-one in space situation. It's a 1 versus 3, 1 versus 4, and the other teams know that Taman and Joshua are guys that can really make plays for us. So I think it's more having the poise and the togetherness to say, instead of kind of panicking or instead of feeling like we have to go make the play by ourselves, it's more a inherent trust in one another and a patience to say, hey, you know what, we will play later in this possession if necessary, and we will continue to move the basketball until we create the necessary advantage or potentially the defense makes a mistake, and then we'll take the opportunity that presents itself. It just kind of felt like they got back in transition. We were on our heels. We kind of panicked. We tried to make, a play, and it was against a set defense with guys loaded up. So that's not going to be the equation for success. We got to do better, stay in the course, playing for each other.
You said that bouncing back started in practice. How the last 2 days gone?
Yeah, no, practice was great today. We were off yesterday and had a great practice this morning. I think, it's doubling down on the things that we believe in, and continuing to guard the basketball, rebound the ball, and get in the paint. And if you look at our offensive possessions the other night, we weren't able to get in the paint very often. As a result, our turnovers were higher, especially early, and we didn't do a very good job in terms of, getting the shots we wanted because we got the ball in the paint or get to the foul line. So I think with all of it, it's just, taking it to the practice court, understanding that how valuable practice time is. You're in the middle of January. You're still 2+ months away from the season's conclusion. There's a lot of time to get better, and utilizing that practice time is so important.
How important is it to get Milan going early a little bit in the mix of this, especially when you're seeing teams, like you said, collapse as much on J. Jeff and making it extra tough on Taman on the drive?
Yeah, and I think for Milan to get going early, there's teams are going to be physical with him. They're going to try to get into his body, and he's worked really hard on his body. He's 6'8", he's 2 1/4. He's got to use his strength. He's got to use his burst. He's got to be, he's got to change speeds and directions. He's got to be willing to cut, post, screen. I think doing all those physical things, because certainly if you're the opponent, you're going to make the choice to stay home with him and keep tabs on him. So now, how can we be problem solvers? How can he be a problem solver? The great thing is all 4 guys that are out there with him understand the gravity he has and want to get him shots and want to get him opportunities. So Yes, there's transition. Yes, there's offensive rebounds. But in the half court, I think it's going to be more of him trying to free others up, and the ball's going to come back to him. And he can free others up by being great, setting and receiving screens. He can free others up by being a great cutter. There's things that he can do and he will do to free others up, and now it's tougher choices for our opponent.
Is that the same thing as, I guess you were talking about earlier, is just letting a possession play out a little bit rather than, jumping at the first opportunity that's maybe half cooked?
Yeah, and I think especially on the road, right? Like, it's even more important on the road to command possessions. It doesn't mean we want to play slow, and it doesn't mean we don't want the tempo. We would love to score everything in transition. The reality is most teams are going to sprint back and take pride that way too. So it's staying the course. It's having a poise as that clock starts to get to 15, 14, 13 to say, no, there's a better opportunity around the corner with another screen, another ball reversal, continuing to kick the ball around, maybe to look into the post, whatever that may be, later in possession to be more effective. So I think it is trusting each other, it is staying the course, and not necessarily like feeling like in the middle of the possession we have to make something happen.
With the slow starts, I don't know that you go as far probably as changing the starting lineup, but do you tweak maybe like who the first couple guys are off the bench, or try different combinations early in games?
I think, like when you're doing well, you probably operate from a position of let's keep doing what we're doing because, you're 16-0, and, even though there's certain things that are going on that you need to be better, that may not be the time to make adjustments or change things. If you look at our opponents, for the most part, the good and the bad of our defense is that the good is it's predictable, or the bad is for us, I guess, or for opponents, a positive is that we're predictable. We're pretty good at what we do, but the other team comes out and they have scripted 3 or 4 things right away to do that can put us in some challenging positions defensively. And through the first 4 league games, at least 3 of them, they've been able to capitalize and get out to a lead. So I think when you look at the other side of it, we haven't got on the offensive rebounds early in the games as much as in the second half, and we've been more careless with the ball, particularly early and specifically last game. So I think if we do a great job commanding the ball and going to the offensive glass, our offense will be better. I think if we do a great job defensively, bringing all of our effort and execution right away, that will shore things up there. So, in terms of, guys going in the game and all that sort of thing, I mean, I'm a captive audience in practice every day to see what happens and what guys are doing and who's desperate and urgent, and we'll continue to evaluate it that way more than any other.
Relative to your expectations for your defense daily, where do you feel like you guys have been at since the new year, the start of league play?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say we've still been pretty good. I mean, you're not going to turn people over probably quite as much in conference play. It's, we've been using an example with our team. It's like the NBA regular season and the NBA playoffs. What wins in the regular season may be something a little different that wins in the playoffs. And, I think that as teams adapt around our personnel, now it's important that we continue to be mindful of what things we can do to put ourselves in better position. So, I think overall, like our defense, I think still has and will stand the test of time. But to do that, it's the scheme, but it's also the effort and it's the execution that all have to be present. Because without any one of the 3 being sound, that's where you can put yourself in a challenging spot. And I think in certain games there's times our focus could be better. Certain games there's times our effort can be better. In certain games there could be times our scheme can be better. And all those things, we're continuing to evaluate to put our guys in the best position to be successful. But in general terms, there's probably not a program that believes more in what they do to the level that we do defensively, and that has stood the test of time over not just games or seasons, but over long stretches.
What about concerns about Cincinnati?
Yeah, I mean, they are an older, experienced, talented, veteran team. They've got, multiple ball handling guards that can make plays with Thomas, with James. Those guys do a great job. Sincere Harris is an elite defensive player. Baba Miller is a tremendous matchup problem at his size. Mustafa Cham's a guy on the perimeter. He can make shots around the rim. I mean, they're a very gifted team, and a team that has poses a lot of challenges because their talent, their speed, their athleticism, it is real. And they're a team now that, they're coming off a win. League play didn't start the way they liked. I mean, they were on the road for a couple, and then Houston at home, which is tough. So just like we faced the other night, we're going to expect them to be desperate, urgent, physical, doing everything they can to disrupt Milan, all the same things that we're seeing. And so we need to be better and more intentional from the start.
Seems like teams are making an effort to get the ball like in the middle of the floor near the free throw line. What are you guys seeing there, and what do you have to do to mitigate the damage that can do?
Yeah, certainly. I think, teams don't want to have the ball on the sideline against us, where we trap more and load up more. So definitely going to find different ways to play down the middle third and down the seam and that sort of thing. I think for us, it's going to continue to be important that, whatever problem is posed, that we communicate, we're aggressive, we square the ball, we keep our stance square in the middle of the floor. We don't open up the court. We don't allow people to, play down that middle third, and that we do everything we can to be in the gaps early, and our rotations are sound. And I think we know, again, playing the way that we've played over time, we know some of the things people are going to do to try to attack us, and so we prepare for those, we practice those, and we just need to continue to get better to execute.
Do you feel like there's the difference between focus defensively that you talked about and then effort defensively, which you talked about as two of those main pillars for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, the effort piece is, there's 50-50 balls out there. We got to be first to the floor. The effort thing is, if our plan is that they're trying to dribble handoff and we're trying to blow it up and not let you execute it, we've got to be physical, aggressive, and power through it to make it happen. If our pick and roll coverage is, a blitz or a trap, we've got to be, we got to give all our effort to corral the ball with the two guys, and as the pass gets lofted out, the rotation defenders steal the ball and make the play. So I think you've got to be ahead of the play. You've got to be aggressive. You can't be afraid to make a mistake. You've got to have a mindset and a mentality to play with that level of urgency and that energy. And we've done that to start the second halves. We've done that, later in games. But it is important that instead of just say, hey, we know how the game's going and we can adjust in the game, that we start the game with that same level of intent.
In regards to maximizing practice, there still being a couple months away until March, do you feel like sometimes teams hit speed bumps or walls at this time of year, and what's the key to getting them over those hurdles?
Well, I think for everybody, you're going to have adversity. So, I mean, for some, you have it right away. There's different times we're all going to have it. Everybody in the Big 12 will have adversity. As good as some of the teams are, they will have adversity, no question. And so, whether where we're at right now with taking a loss, or we got to hand it to us, whether that is adversity, I don't know. Certainly, we don't want to be on that side of the equation, but we know that, you've got to continue to fight through it. You've got to roll your sleeves up and do the hard work. You've got to stay the course. I think everything else in the world is going to tell you, well, why did things not go your way? It's the coach's fault. It's another player's fault. It's the scheme's fault. And at the end of the day, the teams that get better keep their focus on how can I improve? How can I be self-accountable? How can we be self-accountable? And how can we keep improving? Because regardless of where anybody's at right now in mid-January, as well as some teams are playing, you're going to have to get better if you're going to want to make a run later in the season, and that's a challenge for all of us. So we're gonna fight like crazy every day in practice to attempt to earn that right to win.
Knowing you're getting a desperate team on Saturday, how do you match that desperation when you have a number 2 next to your name and have proven as much as you have so far?
Yeah, you're going to get everybody's best shot. They're going to circle the game, and fans are going to show up, and they're going to be amped up from the start, and all those things are true. And I think we take tremendous pride on being the team that's more physical, plays with more energy, more enthusiasm, more connected. And so taking pride in that and making sure that that happens is really important. Like, we expect for them to be at their best. Whatever the best version of their team is, we expect that on Saturday. And so for us, we need to come out and throw the first punch, not be on our heels, start behind, and then try to figure out after the half what adjustments we can make to get back in it. We need to come out and be strong from the start.